Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SIM online information session. Let me start by thanking you first for your time today and for your interest in the SIM program and considering it as an option for your master's degree. My name is Silvia Simões. I'm the interim managing director of the program, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to the co-hosts today. We'll start with Nadine Hohener. She is the manager for marketing, recruitment, and admissions here at the SIM. So, in case you choose to put forward an application or simply write us an email with questions, she'll be the first point of contact at all times. And then we are also thrilled to have here today our two SIMIs, our two SIM students, Luca Bloom from the SIM 20 generation. So this actually means that Luca started with the SIM last year in September 2023. And we also have Inata Saiki. She's a SIM 21 student, meaning that she's with us for a few months now and started in September this year. Thank you so much again for your time here today as well. So the way that we've put together this presentation for you was to try to have information that complements the kind of details that you find in our brochure or in the website, so that is not redundant. So we'll have a first part where we cover the University of St. Gallen, the program, and in specific, the curriculum, careers, and the network. And then the second part, Nadine will take over and explain you a bit more about admissions. Last but not the least, we'll have our dear students giving you important perspectives into the life as a SIMI. As of now, I'll invite you to write any questions that you might have in the chat or in the Q&A section so that we have some time in the end to take as much questions as we can today. Starting with the University of St. Gallen, we are a well-established business school, now 126 years old. And the school actually started as a school of trade or commerce to the local textile industry here in St. Gallen. So it's no wonder then the first school was a school of management, to which the SIM belongs to. And nowadays we do have more schools embedded in the university, the latest being the School of Computer Science, for instance. We are one of the Europe leading business universities, so we are usually featured in the top 10 of the Financial Times ranking of European business schools. So this week we just got the result as number 9, for instance, and we are a triple crowned accredited school, a recognition that only 1% of business schools worldwide have. So we quite have this achievement for ourselves, and we are part of the SAMS Global Alliance and also have over 200 partner universities that collaborate with the University of St. Gallen. The university is located in Switzerland and in St. Gallen in specific. Switzerland is this beautiful country with the landscapes that you see here in the slide and very rich culture and historical heritage. It's a country that is quite safe, usually politically neutral as well, and with the outstanding quality of life, quite connected to nature and the outdoors. We have one of the best public transportation systems in the world, and being in St. Gallen, you'll see that it's quite well connected, both domestically but also internationally. We are just 1 hour away, more or less, from Zurich and Zurich Airport, so quite convenient in case of international connections. Yet also, if you want to opt for a more sustainable way of travel, we'll also find trains to Paris, for instance, or Milan, an alternative to flying that is actually very convenient. St. Gallen in particular is this cozy town that you find here in the image on the top left-hand side. There is about 80,000 inhabitants in the city, to which 10,000 are students. So you actually feel this kind of student vibe into the atmosphere. And we often say that in St. Gallen you have a bit the best atmosphere for studying, given that you have the necessary academic focus that it doesn't have, you probably don't have in the big city, but also some time and space for social activities and socialize with your fellow colleagues in that sense. Now, getting into details about the SIM, and I want to start here with the vision of the program. And our vision is to be a leading program of outstanding management education that generates exceptional value for three important stakeholders: for our SIMIs, our students, employers, and society at large. And what we mean by outstanding management education is that an education, an unique, distinctive way of learning that is unique in the sense that strives to bring the best of talent. So, what we do every day, we try to create an environment in which our SIMIs, our students, can explore their true potential. And they do that in a path of personal growth, personal development, but also in a setting that we feel that is the most suitable, in a collaborative learning way with their peers. Then we translate this vision into a mission of 5 different pillars, things that we want to enable our students to do. And the first is strategizing. We want our students to cope with complex managerial challenges based on a deep strategic understanding. So, first and foremost, to know how strategy works, what it means for companies, and really to have this foundational aspect of the degree. Then to think and act internationally. That is, we really try to have an environment where we can have diverse perspectives, so diverse nationalities, but also backgrounds, academically and ideally a bit social as well, where these different perspectives can give a environment where our students learn to collaborate in diverse teams and especially internationally. Also, this means that we highly incentivize our students to be and explore unfamiliar environments, really leave their comfort zone. So it's often that we recommend our students to go on exchanges or double degrees, and that is also the reason why we have an international internship, which is the SIM-IP. The third pillar, integrating, is to take on an integrative and interdisciplinary perspective for dealing with management issues. So management doesn't happen isolated, and here it's really the holistic perspective that we have into the courses, yet also having a way to have a class size that is small in order to have conversations and discussions that can really bring this together. The fourth pillar is to explore a research question with academic rigor and managerial relevance. Here we are a research-based program. For us, it's not an isolated activity. We feel that our students need to have this learning into how methodologies work and really to ask questions that are relevant into practice. So this is a quite important pillar into the program. Lastly, executing, to initiate and follow through practice projects guided by the highest professional standards, really to have this bridge between the practice and the theory into challenges, real life challenges that can equip our students then for the future job market after the graduation. Now I want to go into the credentials. So we have here featured the Financial Times Global Masters in Management ranking, and we are number 1 in the this year ranking, and an all-time record as well, as we have been featured for the 13th time, and no other program has achieved this recognition. We also prepare some indicators and put together 4 that can be relevant for you. We are particularly proud of the aims achieved, which is a satisfaction percentage or evaluation that our students, our graduates, 3 years after the SIM, say that SIM prepared them for their future life. And that actually confirms what we try to do here at the SIM. And also 3 other indicators: weighted salary, career services, and alumni network, mostly related to placement, and here also with top results. Now, looking into the curriculum and international opportunities, the curriculum is something that you can easily find online, so probably you are mostly familiar with, and obviously the SIM curriculum, let me start by saying that it unfolds in 3 semesters. You'll then have core courses and electives that are specific into the SIM, but you will also have electives, which are electives that belong to the other master's programs but are open to you, and contextual studies, the last 2 columns here, which are unique to St. Gallen. So these are skills modules or electives that are from different fields of study. So here you find, for instance, courses in AI, in sustainability, entrepreneurship, history, law, and many others. We do have the SIM in practice component here represented, which is quite a central pillar for us. This is an element that has 2 different courses, the SIM-HSG Challenge course and the SIM International Project, or the SIM-IP. And this is an international internship that all students need to complete in order to graduate, that needs to take place outside Switzerland and outside the student's country of origin. And timeline-wise, usually students have a lot of flexibility in deciding when to go and do this internship, which for most of students can be after the first year in the summer or after their double degrees or exchanges in the second year. So there's some flexibility for sure here. And last but not the least, the thesis is also a requirement towards the graduation of the SIM. And all in all, in the end, you need to have 90 credits in total in order to successfully graduate with us. A special note here on the SIM-HSG Challenge course, which belongs to that component of SIM in practice. This is a course that takes place both in the first semester and in the second semester, so it's an annual course. And this is the most experimental course and entrepreneurial in a way that we have in the SIM. And here students can really learn from everywhere. Usually they are assigned to a group that needs to work in a social initiative that aims at supporting a local community around the globe. And just for you to have an idea on the kind of locations that we are talking about, just this year, our students are in touch with communities in South Africa, Rwanda, Bangladesh, just to name a few of those. I want to cover the international opportunities that you also have when joining the SIM, if you'd like. So on top of the standard curriculum, you can actually opt to go a bit further and expose yourself a bit further for global experience. So here you have 2 options. You can try to do a double degree or an exchange. And for the double degrees, we offer exclusive SIM double degrees, and these are partnerships that were negotiated exclusive for the SIM students. We do have 2 partners currently, one in Singapore, Nanyang Technological University, and another one in Costa Rica with the INCAE Business School. And what both will offer you, they'll offer you an MBA experience, Master's in Business Administration. So this actually means that if you are with the SIM, you do the first year exactly like everybody else. And then in the second year, you spend 1 year in this partner university doing this MBA degree with a much more experienced class and more practical oriented methodologies and courses. Another opportunity for double degrees is what we call the HSG double degrees. HSG stands for University of St. Gallen, and these are partnerships that are open to all master's programs here at the university. For the SIM, you can have a partnership with the SEMS MIM Alliance, with ESADE in Spain, FGV in Brazil, RSM in the Netherlands, or HEC Paris in France. And this might be a great alternative in case you are undecided for a specific field of study in your master's, for instance. So let's say that you have a strong inclination for finance or sustainability or data. Here you can actually combine the SIM, Strategy International Management degree that you have in the first year. And then the second year, you can actually go into one of these partner universities and take a master's in finance or data or sustainability. So it's a great way to combine 2 different fields of studies and having 2 degrees in the end. In both cases, you don't pay tuition fees in the partner university, only in St. Gallen. But obviously, both the exclusive double degree or the high-scale double degrees, they do require you to complete a separate application process. And that happened in the first semester. Usually in September, we'll host info sessions, so then you can have more details and ask questions about it. And then usually just before the holidays, you'll get the results whether you were accepted or not. Please keep in mind that this application process may have specific requirements or restrictions. It might be a requirement for you to present an English certificate, for instance, or to have a minimum work experience in case of the SIM partnerships. And for cases like HEC Paris, for instance, you need to be a bachelor student from the University of St. Gallen and cannot be a French national. So that is one of the restrictions. Those you can find online, but again, that is the sort of information that it needs to be also accountable when trying to choose your preference for this international opportunity. The third option, the exchange semester, it's the most popular mobility option in higher education, so you must be quite familiar with it by now. And again, we have over 200 partner universities, and here feature we have, for instance, Tsinghua in China or University of Los Angeles in Colombia, just to name a few. Now, a sneak peek into career and network into the SIM. We have a slide where we wanted to show you a sample of employers that hire SIMIs in the past 2-3 years. The big advantage when you have a strategy international management degree is that you have a broad range of opportunities as far as careers are concerned. And here you see that broad range actually feature. In strategy international management, there's a very popular choice for students, which is consulting. That is also here, but that doesn't mean that there's no opportunities elsewhere. So that is why we also place students in finance, pharma, tech, and other industries. For SIM, we actually have career enhancement initiatives that can be interesting also for you to know. We do have a strong career service at University of St. Gallen that organizes events where they bring recruiters on campus. So it can be face-to-face with those recruiters and talk to them about prospect opportunities. And then we have one of the biggest features in SIM, we feel it's our community, and in the SIM community, it's also very common for SIMIs to reach out to alumni to get information about their industries or the companies they are working for. We actually formalize these interactions. We host the career tea times, for instance, where we have alumni coming in on campus over a cup of tea, literally, and they share their experiences about their industries or their path after the SIM, also to bring some different perspectives into the current cohort. Just a last initiative into careers is that as a SIMI, you have exclusive one-on-one career counseling sessions, and those serve to really support you and try to reflect on the best path and the options that you have for your individual case. And here with the idea to have some sort of draft in order for you to get your SIM-IP, your international internship, but also other internships during the program, or to prepare really the full-time position after the graduation. And usually students before graduating typically have 1 or 2 offered, sometimes more. Now for the network, as I mentioned you just now, the SIM has a community of outstanding individuals that have this like-minded vision, and they have this proactiveness and supporting each other. We are very lucky to have now over 1,000 SIMIs, now with the 21st generation and counting. And this is what we consider one of the biggest assets that we have. Being a part of the University of St. Gallen, we benefit from the St. Gallen Alumni Network. We actually have also corporate partners, and this year we have our partner is BCG for the SIM-21 generation, and we also have educational partners, practice partners, or foundation, just to name a few. Finally, what we all share in the SIM, we like to show always this image of the SIM boat or the SIM ship, where we feel that represents our essence, what we try to achieve here. And that is a co-creational venture where we are all in the same place together, in this case, a boat, where we all have different roles, different responsibilities, backgrounds, perspectives, but we have this responsibility to make an impact and to try to better the program and be accountable and proactive in the way that we want to steer the program and the experiences individually and also collectively. And we always are excited to see where the ship will head up next, I must say. Now let me hand over to Nadine so that we can cover admissions.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, and welcome everybody also from my side. I will be talking about the admissions, and as a first step in admissions, it's always to make sure that you meet the formal eligibility criteria, which you find here. But if you go on the website, either through the QR code here or on the Admissions and Crediting Office website of the University of St.Gallen, specifically for the SIM, you will find really detailed information about formal eligibility. In very basic terms, you need to either have a bachelor's in business administration, economics, or a similar field, or a consecutive master's where you studied your bachelor's and master's in the same field. But please do check the requirements before you start working on your application. And if there's any doubts whether you meet those requirements or not, make sure that you contact our colleagues from the Admissions and Crediting Office. They offer free of charge eligibility checks. If you send them to the email that you see here, admissions@unisg.ch, your transcripts from your previous studies and your CV, they will be able to do a formal eligibility check for you. If you do qualify to apply for the SIM, then there's an application that has 5 components. So 20% will be GMAT or GRE. Between the two, you decide which one you prefer to take. From our side, there is no preference. Of course, there's always the both versions right now are acceptable for both of the tests. They have changed a bit, both of them. So you can take them also in person or online. All of these versions are acceptable. Then 20% is the GPA from your previous studies. 20% is your profile based on your CV, so extracurricular and practical activities. So there we look for any kind of work experience, any kind of internship experience, any kind of extracurricular activities, any kind of social engagement, and also international exposure. So here, just make sure that you use the template that is available on the website. You can download it and fill it out. And that for everything that you list on the CV, first of all, make sure that you really tell us everything that is relevant for your profile. So even if the CV gets a bit longer, it is important that you let us know, because everything that you don't tell us, we don't know. And for the CV, what is also important is that you submit supporting documents for everything that you list on the CV. So for anything that is work experience, it needs to be an official document, either a confirmation from the company or a reference letter, or if it's coming up, then a signed contract would also be fine. Just white out confidential parts. And when it comes to extracurricular activities and such, we are a bit more flexible. So if you have a screenshot from a website where it shows you in the role, that would also be sufficient there. But just make sure that you submit a proof for everything. Then we have 10% an essay, where you find the essay question also online, and 30% a video interview. The video interview is a pre-recorded interview. So once you submit your online application, you will receive an invitation to do the video interview. There's going to be a separate deadline, so it's not necessarily the same as the application deadline, but in the invitation for the video interview, you do get the specific deadline for you to complete the video interview. Then within the time frame that you have, you need to make sure that you do the video interview. You can register on the platform, then you can test, so you can do practice questions, as many as you want, just to get familiar with the platform and with how it works. And then once you start the interview, you only have one chance to record your answer, but that's also on purpose like this, because we do want your first and genuine and authentic answer. So here for the video interview, what is really most important is be yourself, answer the questions as if you were talking to a person, and really what you think. The goal of this is to really get to know you beyond what you can tell us on paper. So it is really important to be authentic and just say what you have to say about the topic that you're given. Applications open every year on the 1st of October, so we're already in the application phase. The first deadline already passed. Then we have 3 more application deadlines for the September 2025 intake on the 31st of January, 31st of March, and 30th of April. From our side, there's no preference, so you decide when is the best time for you to apply. We always recommend to apply when your application is at its strongest. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that you can, when you apply to the University of St.Gallen, you can always choose an alternative program in your application. So you can apply to 2 programs at the same time within the same application, and hence also with the same fee. That is no longer possible at the very last deadline. So if you are planning to choose an alternative program in your application, then make sure that you apply before the end of March. What are we looking for in terms of candidates? We're looking for well-rounded profiles. So global mindset is important. So we want to see intercultural awareness. We want to see that you're able and willing to consider different perspectives on any given subject. We have critical and creative thinking that we're looking for. So we want to see if you're able to critically reflect upon complex topics and find creative and novel ways to solve them. We like to see an analytical attitude. So we want to see if you're able to effectively solve problems. Self-reflection is also a very important point. So we want to see if you have reflected upon your life, your background, and your experiences, and if you are aware of your own strengths and weaknesses. And finally, also maturity and integrity. We want to see if you're a mature, well-balanced individual who's engaged in activities with your peers and communities and society at large. Our current class from the 2024 intake that started in September this year, we have 54 students from 24 different countries. We have 50% male, 50% female. So this year we have an exact balance. It's always more or less balanced, but this year it's exactly balanced. The average age of our students is 23 years. So some of them, they have worked 1-2 years after graduation, some of them a bit more, others a little bit less, but 23 is the average age of when they started. And we do have over 90% international students in the SIM. But even the domestic students are global citizens. That's why here we always like to say that it's 100% global citizens in the same cohort. And you're going to meet 2 of them now. So I'm happy to hand over to Hinata first to share a bit about her SIM experience.
Sure, thank you so much, Nadine. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hinata. I'm originally from Japan. And I completed my bachelor in Japan and Italy. So I was in the university in Japan, but I did my exchange in Italy for 1 year. I just loved the experience there so much that I extended a little. And after completing my bachelor there, I started to work for American tech company in Tokyo. I was working as a consultant. And then the question is, what brought me from all the way from Japan to Switzerland and St. Gallen, right? So I can probably talk about from the 2 perspectives. Obviously, one is academic and another one is experience perspective. So academic wise, at the company that I was working for, I was doing something mixture of business, strategy, and technology. And I wanted to like pivot my career more to the side of um, strategy and gain more competences in international management. So then strategy and international management major was something very simple to think about. And moving on to the experience perspective, I was born and raised in Tokyo. I was also working in Tokyo for 3 years and a half. I just wanted to have some radical change in my lifestyle. So I started to explore some possibilities abroad, and I very luckily got to know about the SIM. I have to be honest, coming from Japan, I never knew this university until the point one of my best friend, who is actually alumni of this university, told me about this amazing program. And he told me, Hinata, believe me, this program is the best fit for you. So that's why I started to explore the opportunity here. And since then, I never looked back. I didn't even explore other opportunities, just sim, and I applied. Luckily, I'm here. Yes, I just wanted to quickly talk about my experiences here so far. So I'm a Sim 21, which means, as Sylvia mentioned before, I just started this program 3 months ago. I cannot believe it's just a 3 month ago. I feel like it's been 2 years. So it means like it's been quite intense, full of memories. Well, I was just thinking about some good words that I can describe my cohorts, Sim 21. I'd probably say they are the most collaborative, supportive people. Like Simis are a little different from usual business schools, I would say. The diversity is just not in the nationality and not just in the gender, but in the interest areas that they have, academic and work experience they have. And all are like keen to learn from others, and we all are happy to give something we already have to others. And this is something that I really, really like about being a Simi. This is the spirit that overarches like everything from social activities to the courses, the spirit of supporting each other and yeah, always giving to others. And I actually never felt any competition so far in this community, which is I'm really, really happy about. Everyone is like, since it's all started, it's been like a 3 month, and everybody's starting to get to know each other's talents, what they're actually good at. And we always are happy to seek for support, knowledge sharing, and everyone is happy to give what they have. This is not just about the courses and the classes, but also in like social events that we usually organize. I can give you a couple of examples about this. Let's say in a one class, we are working on company analysis about one pharma company based in Switzerland. And I have never like worked with a pharma company when I was doing a consultancy, and I had no prior experiences, knowledge about this industry. But me and others did a little bit of consultancy, so like we kind of know how to do the slides and analysis and so on. Luckily, we had the chemical engineering master holders, which was amazing. So he gave us like pharma industry 101, and we kind of did the knowledge exchange, and we excelled in this course. I hope we are still waiting for the grade, so never knows, but at least we really enjoyed this like exchange of knowledge. And so, yeah, I already talked about how I describe the experiences so far in this family, but well, I can probably summarize again in the two aspects, social and courses aspects, probably because there are some people want to know a bit more about what kind of courses we actually have here. I will start with the social aspects. As you can see here on the slides, full of nice pictures, full of smiley faces. And Sim, I can guarantee that you will never feel alone in the Sim community. There's always something going on, like at least once in a week, we have a dinner together. We go on a weekend hike, and yeah, we have hold a house party. So always there's something going on. And not just about the big groups, but also focus on the importance of having a one-on-one connection. So one thing I'm very proud of my SIM-21 is we started the coffee chat. So every week you get assigned to a coffee chat, just the two of you with random others. And this person is the one you don't usually work with on a group work, or like the one you usually don't go just like grab the lunch together, but you still like get to know them, like spend the 1 hour in the coffee, just go on an afternoon walk, or like you can also turn the coffee chat into a nice dinner, right? So like you get to know them very, very well. And we've been doing this for like over a couple of months, and I absolutely love this. And the last one, I wanted to quickly cover the course aspect of this experiences that I have so far. Honestly, this is full of new learnings. So far, we had the leadership, international management, M&A, strategy courses. Well, it all depends on like what kind of academic background you have, but there's something new you can learn from the course's content itself. But not just about the course contents. One thing very important in SIM is like working in a group, and you can definitely learn a lot of things working with others, working with the people from totally different countries, 24 different countries. So it includes the challenges to align expectation with others, work management, creating atmosphere that everyone can feel safe and voice up. And yes, this is definitely great opportunities to learn. And some people are a little bit conscious about the workload that you might experience at SIM. I would say there was some very intense week, but it was manageable. And at the end, we're gonna all support each other, and we'll try to go through it all together. So it was okay for me.
So hello from my side as well. My name is Luca. I'm from the SIM-20 cohort. So other than Hinata, I've been here for quite some while now. It's about 1.5 years. So I started September 2023, which, as Hinata said, hers feels like 2 years. I feel like I've aged throughout this time. It's been 10 years ago. But to be honest, I mean, I'm right now in the process of my master thesis, so sort of moving away from the coursework, more of the finishing parts of the masters. It remains the same atmosphere as Hinata described. I mean, in general, my background is I'm from Germany, where I also did my bachelor's degree. I did a traditional business administration degree, so for me it was sort of the clear path. But as Hinata described, also in our cohort, there's lots of people with very different backgrounds. So we had people who studied medicine, we had people who studied engineering before, so you do get vast experiences from all areas. Of course, the core group is usually business or economic students, just because that's a very natural progression, I think. But yeah, when we think about sort of like how all of us got to SIM, I mean, for me, it was a bit random as well. You are all one step ahead of me already because you're very well informing yourself online. I did that very last minute because I didn't know of SIM either. Even though you could think with studying in Germany, I had a closer connection to HSG maybe, but I just found out about it quite random as my brother started his bachelor's here and he told me, oh, that's the best program, you should really try it. It's going to fit exactly what you're looking for. I was quite skeptic in the beginning. I looked through a lot of the student testimonials and online sessions online, and then I was really hooked somehow. So I did try to sort of, okay, I was like, okay, you know, just take a shot, probably not going to work, but who knows, at least you've tried. Luckily, it did work out. Very happy that it did because I truly had a very amazing 1.5 years. I'm about to go on exchange, so sort of finishing the part, but I'm really going to miss moving out of St. Gallen just because of the people I've met. I mean, our cohort was even a little bit smaller. We were 50 people. It's a very close-knit sort of family, so you grew together very fast, which is in part attributable to the, let's say in the first semester, I would say the workload can be quite high in times. So it varies, but sometimes it's quite high, and that really fuses you together because you sort of pull through it together. A lot of it is coursework, as Hinata said. And so overall, I think it took maybe a few weeks that I think turned towards some more of an extended family. I mean, of course, as in every group, you'll have your close-knit ones, but up to this day still, and even some people already left in terms of going on exchanges and internships, I'm still in contact with almost everybody from my cohort. So I know what they're doing. I know what their plans are. They come back from time to time, and then we meet up in Zurich or somewhere in Munich when there's something happening. So you do really keep the contact, which is super nice. Given that my time's been a while, I think I'll touch more upon the sort of, okay, how does it progress? Because Hinata, I think, covered the part of how a SIM at the beginning very well. for us, very similar experience. A lot of new experiences, very cool to get to know the people. You can learn a lot from them because everybody has a different background and different sort of perspective on it. Then later on, third, fourth semester, I think a lot of people do choose to go on exchange. We have some double degree students, but I think exchange is sort of the, let's say, most popular option. And then, of course, to do the thesis and such. So I have a lot of friends who are on exchange right now, some of them almost finishing already the exchange as the semester is going to a close. And that, I think, also gives you a new perspective to embrace your international opportunities more. As Nadine said, most of the students are not Swiss nationals, so you will have a very international experience while here. For some, more of a culture shock for others, depending on where you're from. But overall, I think making the use of the opportunities you have, HSG has a lot of partner universities where you can do an exchange with, so it doesn't matter which part of the world you're interested in. I think there's going to be something that will hook you, and I would really encourage you to make use of it if you do attend HSG. And then, of course, getting these final parts in, so SIM-IP, which is, I think, very special part of SIM as well, just because it gives you the sort of push to look for some sort of job opportunities outside of your comfort zone, not in your home country, maybe, which for some might be a first. So I think those are all really valuable parts of it. I mean, SIM itself, I think we've talked quite a lot about. There's a lot of special parts about it. SIM also hugely benefits, to my opinion, from being in HSG, because especially something like the contextuals, I think that's a great addition to the program in itself. As some of the others already said, SIM is a lot for me also about personal growth, not specifically in you'll adhere to lots of new skills, which you will, don't get me wrong, but a lot about sort of reflecting on, okay, what brought me here, where am I trying to take this from, which you partly do through discussions with your students who have different perspectives and outlooks on life, partly also just because you make new experiences. So I, for example, had a contextual course in anthropology, super interesting course, never had anything to do with the subject before. Can highly recommend, though, just because it gives you a different perspective on thinking about things and looking at sort of like, okay, where's my place? What am I planning to do with this? As you can also see, most of the pictures here are group pictures from activities we've done. So it ranges from, as Hinata said, given that we're in Switzerland, hiking and skiing are top notch here. So this is really one of the fan favorites in what to do to get closer to the other simmies. Can highly recommend. But also, for example, bottom left, when the sim was over for us, or let's say the active course part last April or May, I think it was May, we went on a final sim vacation for 4 days. So almost everybody from our cohort went to a hut somewhere in Switzerland, where we went hiking and cooking and partying and sort of saying goodbye for 4 days, which was super nice. One of my favorite memories I can take for sure. And so that's also the part where I see, as I talked about before, I'm still in close contact with pretty much everybody who studied with me. Fair enough, it's not been that long, but I mean, we're not placed in the same area anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest values. I still take part in their life. They still sort of, help me decide on where my place is. So I think the personal connections you make and the people you meet, this is really sort of something that makes it stand out from any other master program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Did you want to add something else, Luca? Good. Okay. So then we're going to move to the questions. We're going to see if we have some questions here from some of you. Okay. Please feel free to put your questions either in the chat or in the Q&A. Maybe one question for you, Hinata, coming from Tokyo to St. Gallen.
Yes.
How is that? Because we often get asked, I've been in London, I've been in Paris. St. Gallen is a rather small place. How am I going to deal with this? So how was your experience, or how do you find it being here in St. Gallen?
Great question. Thank you so much. Well, I often joke about how different it is, like living in Tokyo and living in St. Gallen. It's totally different. And I would say I still look for some city vibe. That's why I still live in the middle of the old town. It's like probably the cityest part of the St. Gallen. But I wouldn't say I still very much like St. Gallen. First of all, because it's such a charming place. For me, coming from Asia, the building is different. The city vibe is totally different. So I'm still like in the honeymoon phase, that enjoying the different view. And the second point is, at the end, it doesn't really matter where you live, because you get a lot of like friends not just in SIM, but like also in like other programs at HSG. And you just like get to know a lot of people from other communities. And for me, the people that I interact with on a daily basis, then where you actually live is more important. So like either we live with the other 50 Simis in Zurich or like in Zug or Luzern, doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I'm really enjoying my life here.
Yeah, very good. Luca, for you?
I mean, I come from a, let's say, mid-sized city in Germany, so I think the culture shock was less apparent. I mean, St. Gallen is quite small, but it's very close to Zurich, it's close to Constance, so I think you don't really feel it to be as small as it is just because it's such a student city, so there's always something to do. Courses, of course, but also the other students will keep you busy throughout. So I think I personally really enjoy it. I think it really depends, of course. If you're more of a big city type, it can be quite a shock. I think we had some students who came from Mumbai, for example. I think for her it was quite difficult to adjust in the beginning, but I think it has its own charm. So overall, I do think if you can, yeah, enjoy the sort of mountainous vibe that Switzerland has to offer, I think it's really great.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. We have a next question here. If I don't pass the SIM admission on my first attempt, will I still have a possibility to apply again, for example, 1 year later? Yes, that's a great question as well. Yes, so within one admission cycle, so for one intake within that 1 year, you can only apply once, but in total, you can apply twice. So that means if you apply this year and don't make it in, you can apply again next year. Let's see, next question. How exactly are the 20% for extracurricular and practical experiences evaluated in the admissions process? Is it simply a matter of counting how many internships or extracurricular experiences one has, or is there more to it? Yes, we really, overall in the admissions process, we have a very holistic approach. So the goal is always to get to know the candidates as well as we can within that scope. And for the CV part, we really look at the full profile. So the more well-rounded, the better. So some work experience, but it's a pre-experience program. So even if you don't have work experience, you can still apply. But we do encourage some work or internship experiences if you have an opportunity to do it. So those will be considered, but also extracurricular activities, because those can also give you, for example, some leadership experience, which is hard to get in the work environment when you are still young, right? So a good balance of everything will be the best you can do. And what is important is that you really list everything so that we can also see it. Let's see. I hope that answers the question. If not, just re-put in the chat so that we can pick it up again. So one of my criteria for selecting a master's program is the reputation of the school among companies. Could you elaborate on how St. Gallen is perceived in the business world, especially since it doesn't appear in general university rankings? Sylvia, you want to take this one?
Thank you for your question. So the reason why we choose to show the Financial Times ranking here, it's precisely because of that. So it's one of the most representative rankings as far as business schools are concerned, specifically management degree programs. And being the number one, it's actually a good way for you to show business world and institutions that you are applying for, that the quality assurance is there and the reputation is there. That, apart from the fact that as the University of St. Gallen is also placed in a very top position in the overall European Business School. So that is the most well-known rankings in that sense as far as global management education is concerned.
Thank you. It's also the highest ranked university in the German-speaking area, or the highest ranked business school in the FT ranking. And maybe Luca, since you're already in your second year and you have a lot of peers who are already either doing internships or starting their jobs soon, and because you've also been able to take advantage of all the career offerings here in St. Gallen, do you want to share a bit your experience there or what you can see?
Yeah, So I think especially the career part is a big plus of HSG, but also SIM in general. I mean, especially in the DACH speaking world, so in the German speaking world, HSG itself has a really strong brand. So it generally is seen as a huge plus, because also when you have the career events here itself, there's a lot of really notable companies here. So I don't think that's going to be a major issue. And especially when you're closer to the DACH region itself, then SIM also itself has a really strong brand. So apart from HSG on top of it, SIM also really gives you an edge here. Globally, of course, yeah, some people might not know SIM as well, but HSG generally, I think in the European business world still is quite renowned. Depending on how niche we're talking, it's probably really depends. But overall, from the people I've talked to with my friends and also my own application experience, HSG is really a strong brand to have on CV and really does open doors in a lot of different industries here.
Yeah. And maybe some words on the SIM community and the path that they go. You've interacted with older SIMIs as well who have graduated already. How do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I think Nadine or Sylvia, you covered before already. It's quite easy for SIM because, I mean, we're 1,000 SIMIs now, but it's still quite a small alumni network, I would say. So it's very, let's say, it feels more like on a family level. So I've reached out to dozens of older SIMIs already to ask them sort of, okay, how was your experience with this particular company? Or how did you feel entering into the VC world? Or can you give me any advice for finding a job in France, for example? So there are a lot of SIMIs who've made this experience before. It's super easy. I've not yet had the experience of someone turning me down. So everybody's very open to talk to you and share their experience, and sometimes even give you an in if they say, I know someone there. I can connect you with them. So having this sort of connection really helps, of course, especially if you have something where you're not as familiar with. So I think that's a huge plus.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take up the next question, which is also for our two students here today. What has been your favorite project to work on during your studies at HSG? Hinata, you want to start?
Sure, all right. Project means like the coursework range?
I'd assume so. That's how I understand it, yeah.
All right. For me, probably the international management class. So this is something, well, the topic is like self-expert international management, but this is something you work on an academic paper as a group. It was in a way that I was in a group that with full of like diversified nationality. We were working on a one paper and we all had a different background. Someone was excelling in writing, someone was very good at analytical skill. And I was actually really enjoying the way that I also contributed with a lot of like data analysis, which was actually, I was doing it in my previous workplaces. So I really think that I really enjoyed in the way that everybody has something contribute, and we created something very I think at the end we did a very good job in a way that everyone equally contributed and everyone got the time to shine. Probably
Very
that's
good.
one of the project that I really liked so far.
Yeah. And Luca, for you?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I had a very cool course, I think, on anthropology as a contextual in my second semester. So that one was quite intense, to be honest, more intense than I expected, but was super cool just because it was something I had never done before. Very interesting subject matter, to be honest. Cool course, a lot of discussions involved. So I really enjoyed sort of dipping my toe into the different social sciences here. So I can highly recommend that.
Oh, cool. Very good. Thank you very much. So we have 3 more questions, which we're going to quickly take up before we wrap up. One is actually 4 more questions. One is how much do SIM students interact with other HSG programs and students? It's my understanding that St. Gallen has a vibrant student life with lots of different clubs and such. But is it feasible to participate in those while also managing studies and spending enough time within your cohort? Yeah, I think students never have enough time here in St. Gallen. That's why it goes by so fast, right? Hinata, you want to take this?
Well, I mean, like the very short and very boring answer is it depends on the people, but I usually really like to differentiate my communities and have a lot of different pillars in my life. So I'm like besides SIM, I'm in like choir, student choir, I'm in VC club, I'm in Asia club. I try to like show up to a lot of different opportunities, and in a way that you can get to know like other master students, also like bachelor students, assessment year students, and there are quite a lot of opportunities if you want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, very good. Luca?
Yeah, I would say the same. It really depends on how good you are with time management. There are some phases where it's a lot more work, but if you're a little bit flexible with that, I think it's really possible to take advantage of all of it.
Yeah, and there's lots of options, right? Also in terms of sports, lots of courses that you can go to here at the university sports facilities and the clubs. 180, I think, right? A lot. Anyway, there's a lot that you can do. Very good. What about scholarship opportunities? I'm going to take this one. So the University of St.Gallen is a public university, so it's subsidized by the government, which means that the tuition fee that you pay is subsidized by the Swiss government here. So our international fees are 3,329 Swiss francs per semester right now for international students, and with a course duration of roughly about 3 semesters, it's a bit below 10,000 Swiss francs, which is right now exactly the same as the euro. So thanks to that, we're able to offer really reduced tuition fees for domestic, but also international students, which is absolutely wonderful. In terms of scholarships, that is then a bit limited. We do have financial loans. We have an advice center for study funding. They can need-based give out financial loans, which you need to pay back after your studies. And there is one excellence scholarship that is available for master's students for each program, but those are given out after the first semester, so it's not something that you get before your studies. 2 more questions. One quick one. In Germany, grading standards can vary quite a lot depending on the university, so GPAs don't always reflect the full picture. Do I correctly understand that it's not taken into account in your evaluation process? It is indirectly, because we do know the universities, but that's why we also still have the GMAT or GRE really for the academic performance to be well balanced. There's also reasons why a GPA might not even be at the level where it could be for you, for personal reasons, there's many different reasons. Some students apply, we can see that they had lower grades at the beginning, and then they got a lot better during their bachelor's, but their overall GPA might still be pulled down by those first year grades, and that's why the GMAT or GRE are also an option or an opportunity for candidates to really show their true potential if in the GPA that's not the case. If you have any additional information about your GPA, for example, in which percentage that lies within your university or your cohort, then also make sure that you mention that in the CV. But yes, the academic side is 20% GMAT and 20% GPA, also because of this reason, to compare GPAs from different universities and different countries is not that straightforward. So we have those 2 components that we take into account. And lastly, is there a maximum of professional experience years for prospective students? I know some European business schools accept applicants with only up to 2 years of work experience, but for Latin American applicants as myself, it is usual to apply with more years of job experience, 2+. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to take this one as well. There is no cap. In our case, there is no cap of work experience. Of course, if you have 4 or 5 or more years of work experience, you do have to kind of give some reasons why you still think that the SIM as a pre-experienced master's program is the right choice for you. But as you are referring to Latin America, we see quite often that candidates from there have a bit more work experience, and that is absolutely fine. So anything between 6 months and let's say 3-4 years is considered like within the normal range. And if it's more, it can be. We've had students with more. It just needs to still make sense for you to do this program. And you do have in the CV part, you have additional information section where you can then explain this or anything else that you would like us to know and you haven't been able to mention anywhere else in your application. That would be the place to do that. All right, the time is up and we will be wrapping it up now. Just showing you again the contacts from us today. We had Sylvia here presenting the program. Then I'm Nadine. We had Luca and Hinata here to share their students' perspectives. Thank you very much. All of you, you can reach us. The best way is sim@unisg.ch. By email is always the best way, but there's a phone number as well. And on our website, you do find a lot of useful information as well. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today. And we hope to see you again.